from number 2 Sports Ground this afternoon, the first grade grand final of the Rugby Union between Boolaroo and the Waratahs. The Boolaroo team have been looking very fit. The Waratahs first out of the dressing rooms with their captain John Hipwell, number 9. Now it's Boolaroo's turn. They're led out by their captain to be playing in the number 1 jersey, George Little. But first of all comes the bull. And the bull from Boolaroo looks very fit and very promising. Both teams extremely fit-looking teams. On your screen it'll be the Waratahs going left to right in dark shorts and Boolaroo right to left in white shorts, and with me as co-commentator John Miner.
Good afternoon, Noel. Well, the scene is set for a very good game this afternoon. Boolaroo trying for their first premiership in 25 years. Waratah trying for the double-header. They won the premiership last year, and they're going for the premiership again this year.
Stand by, please. Mr. Clive Hughes, what's the pin, John?
Clive has been refereeing first grade for 6 years. Clive is a past secretary of the Referees Association and is probably one of our rising stars in the Referees Association.
Boolaroo kicks off. It goes straight down to Dornay, but the ruck forms just outside the Waratahs 25. The strong-looking forwards of Boolaroo are down there and hooking very early with both lefts and rights to the head. Penalty to the Waratahs. Be taken by Mowbray, the full-back. No doubt, fine touch down towards halfway. No wind, very mild afternoon.
This should be marked by a fair exchange amongst the forwards in the first half, Noel. The Boolaroo forwards are very fit and feeling on top of the world after the win last week, and the Waratahs are a tough bunch of forwards who will meet them in every department.
Throw in by Hamilton for Boolaroo. It's Lopes gets it away to Engert. Fraser, 2 Frasers playing. This is Brian Fraser. He runs through the forwards, 10 yards inside the Waratahs half. The heel back, Engert again. That was a nice move by Hamilton coming in off the wing, and Fraser goes down with the ball. It's taken to the halfway as the ruck is formed on the halfway mark. I think it'll be a no decision ruck at this stage, and a scrum will go down right on halfway.
Well, they've certainly opened the game at a fair pace, Noel. I only hope they can maintain it. It looks like going to be a real head-on clash this afternoon.
Engert will put the ball in for Boolaroo. So on the halfway mark.
It'll be interesting to see the tactics employed by both teams. Waratah probably run the ball in their backs most of the afternoon.
It's run by Boolaroo. Engert. But it's taken through there by a good run by Perrin, and Perrin gets it over to Danny Cliff, and Danny Cliff is in the 3 points for the Waratahs, leaving Boolaroo here. Victory came from nothing, John, that movement.
Yes, it was the quickness of Perrin who got to that loose ball, whipped it up, passed it out to Dunnicliffe, and Dunnicliffe made no mistake going for the line. Of course, Dunnicliffe is a winger of good standing. He's been a country week representative for some years now, and Perrin, of course, is an up-and-coming, only a 19-year-old or two, Perrin. A great future for that lad.
Kick to be taken by Mowbray, the full-back for the Waratahs. Very prolific point scorer for the Waratahs, in fact, for the whole Newcastle Rugby Union competition. A very deliberate kicker, a very good full-back. And he comes in. That's a good-looking kick, and 2 more points to the Waratahs, 5-0.
Mowbray has scored over 200 points this season, and this is the 7th season in a row that he scored more than 100 points. Must be an all-time record for kickers. Well, no, we'll probably see some fierce exchange in this kick-off. The Waratahs will probably take the ball, form a scrum, and the Boolaroo lads will go in with a lot of vigour and a lot of enthusiasm.
Fraser kicks off. Honeycomb pushes it away and out over the touchline. A throw in. This time
the ball hasn't gone 10 yards, Noel, and in that case the referee gives the team the option of another kick or a scrum at the kick-off point. Waratah will elect to take the scrum.
Hipwell to put the ball in for Waratah. I haven't seen the Waratah backline in action, and we're not going to this time either, as Fraser with a very delicate kick gets it back to Mowbray inside his own 25, kicks right back to Burge. Goes over Burge's head. Burgess goes back into his own 25, and he's put his foot in the catch, and a very good kick by Mowbray. A slight lapse by Burge, but he had a hard problem there of bringing that
there was
ball
a quick piece of thinking. You might have noticed Puddicombe raced up, grabbed the ball. The law allows for a quick throw-in if it provided the ball has not been touched by anybody else, and this was the circumstances there. Puddicombe went looking for a quick throw-in, but the Boolaroo boys got up to cover any such advantage.
Dunnicliffe throwing it in, about 20 yards out from Boolaroo's line. Into the centre, but Lopes gets it away to Engard, back to Burge. Burge left-footed, finds touch just on the 25. 5-0 in favour of the Waratahs. Again, Dunnicliffe to throw in.
Referee Clive Hughes is making sure he's got a clear space down the middle.
Lopes again wins it for Boolaroo. This time Fraser in his own 25, puts it back to Mowbray, but right on the halfway mark there, a good kick by Fraser. The throw in again by Dunnicliffe. Play on the halfway mark. Lopes, the big red-headed fellow, number 2, he misses out on that one. There's Hipwell, but Little doesn't, and Ansford get through there very quickly. The ruck is formed, and Horton takes it away. This time to Dornay. Dornay shoots it over to Hipwell. That's Hipwell, and the ruck on the halfway mark now. Hipwell right behind his scrum to Bear. Bear looking for Perrin. Perrin goes back inside, but a good covering tackle by Fraser. Hipwell against to Dunnicliffe. Dunnicliffe has stood in the tackle, but now it's Bear once again. He sees the opening. Bear goes through. He gets the ball away to Perrin, it looks like again, but Perrin couldn't get on the forward progress. And that was bad luck. Bear had the opening. I think perhaps he threw it to the wrong player. He didn't look back inside him, and number 14 was coming inside him, and that was Powell.
Boolaroo are making the mistake at the moment of going for their man. They're looking at their man, going to the man they should take, and 9 times 10 hasn't got the ball. They're then leaving a space, and Boolaroo making the most of this gap.
Fraser once again finding touch outside of the Boolaroo's 25. Dunnicliffe to throw in.
I think referee Clive Hughes was giving a gentle indication that he's not going to tolerate any late tackles or holding the players without the ball. You know, we'll be interested to see how he reacts next time the Waratah line function.
This time Lopes again takes it down for Boolaroo, but it's a penalty to Boolaroo. Probably one of the best line-out specialists in Newcastle at the present time, is Lopes.
Lopes, yes, he's got a real jump nowadays. He's improving each game he plays in.
It's a good kick. Good kick. Just outside the Waratahs 25. Dunnicliffe again to put that ball in. Right down the centre it goes, and the ruck is formed outside the Waratah. Engert to McNamara this time. McNamara loses the ball, and it's rallied by Waratah. They heel it back and then run back into the forwards. Some solid work going on there. It's heeled away, but Engert brings it up. A beautiful run by Engert. Over the 25 now, but back it goes to Hipwell. Takes it for the Waratahs. Kicks downfield. And it's into touch. That time not handled well by Robertson.
The Waratahs are looking for the quick throw-in. That's the second time they've whipped the ball up, and there's been a man up there waiting to take it. The laws provide that you don't have to wait for a line-out. So long as you throw the ball in straight, it travels 5 yards and touches the ground or a player at the right angle.
Hipwell couldn't get the ball away cleanly, but this time it's a penalty to Boolaroo.
The Boolaroo players are coming through the line-out very quickly and harassing Hipwell. I noticed that Adams arrested a man on suspicion that time.
That's not finding touch, and Mowbray puts it back downfield. He's got Burge in position, and Burge takes it. Comes towards the halfway mark, a little up and under. He follows through. Puttigan takes it well. Gets it away there to Charge, and Charge goes down. Towed through by a Boolaroo player who appeared to be offside. Puttigan does a hit well there, but Bear is held. Puttigan backing up very well. He's down in the centre of that, but it's a penalty to the Waratahs, with Mowbray coming up to take this kick. The Waratahs leading 5-0.
It would appear that Puttigan might have been dealt with unkindly in that close exchange then. He certainly went by himself without any support.
The score 5-0 in favour of the Waratahs. Mowbray just outside of his own 25 to take this penalty. Puts it down over the halfway mark. A very good kick midway between the 25 and the halfway mark. Hamilton will throw it into Boolaroo. A long one down the back. Lopes tears his way through to Ansford. Ansford handballs it away and picked up by Fraser. Waratahs very tigerish, though in those rucks they get it and it goes to Hipwell. Hipwell a little kick through, follows on, but he'll find touch on the Boolaroo 25.
I noticed in the first time that the backline function of Boolaroo, Burge came up as he did last week, although he waited for the second half last week. He's now coming up from the beginning of the game, it appears.
Another long line out, but it's taken through again, this time by Little. Little kicks it into touch, and the line out on the far side of the field around about the halfway mark. On the far wing there we have Carroll, who'll throw the ball in for Boolaroo. Taken again by Boolaroo, who'll go for the rushes to end get a penalty to Boolaroo.
I think the player Powell helped the referee, indicated to him he also thought he was offside by putting his arms well in the air.
Line out this time on the Waratahs 25 from that penalty, and on the far wing it will be Powell to throw in. Short one, Engett will get this. He's caught though, he comes back out over the touchline.
Perhaps this line out we might watch a tactic I think perhaps the Waratahs might be adopting. I had a feeling perhaps that could have been a deliberate knock-on. Now, if they're not winning the ball, they look like they're going to knock it through and follow on. I might be wrong, but it'll be interesting to watch these line-outs.
Boolaroo very quickly round, close to being offside, I'd imagine, but the ruck forming, it's a hard ruck, and over the touchline again. Throw in once again by Powell. Right down the centre. Lopes knocks it away, but it goes to Hipwell. Bear puts it high. Comes through and it will bounce back to Burge. He's let it bounce the second time. Bear up there to make the tackle. It's kicked back into the centre of the field. Mowbray with Hipwell alongside him. Mowbray, it's a beautiful run by Mowbray over the halfway mark. He'll centre it. He's got Powell coming through. Powell finds a gap if he can carry it through, but it's taken away by Hamilton. A good take there by Hamilton under pressure. He's the winger for Boolaroo. He finds touch on the far side of the field. But a beautiful run by Mowbray. Still 5-0 in favour of the Waratahs. Powell to throw in again for the Waratahs. Hipwell again, it's a penalty, and no doubt it will be Mowbray to have a shot. He's got the ball on the 25 and about 25 yards in from the touchline. Not an impossible kick for Paul Mowbray.
Well, we came from an infringement in the line-out. The Boolaroo backman was offside. It'll be interesting to note to keep your eye on number 8, the Waratah player with the white headband on. He's a magnificent cover defender player. He's a lock for Waratah, Brett Dorney. And in that last exchange when Waratah cleared up the field, he was up in the centre waiting to take the ball when it came infield.
Mowbray has the ball placed for the people new to rugby union. If they convert a try, it's 2 points to the goal, a penalty goal, and a drop kick, a field goal is 3 points. So Mowbray going for 3 points this time with a very accurate kick. To make it 8-0 in favour of the Waratahs.
Waratah have a prodigious score up for this season. They've scored
Penalty goal to the
101 points
Waratahs by
from 84.
fullback Paul Mowbray, making the scores the Waratahs 8, Boolaroo 0.
Fraser bringing the ball back for Boolaroo. Kick off to be taken. Taken well by Adam. It's out over the touchline, a throw in, which will favour Boolaroo because Hamilton will throw in just short of the Waratahs 25. Lopes runs round, but it's taken by Fraser. The whistle's gone. That was not a straight throw.
No, the referee's
Good
calling
move, but
another
it got away.
Yes, they're always a good move to get pulled up. It always seems to be the referee's lot to have to halt good play.
Dunicliffe now will have the throw in for the Waratahs. Run by the Waratahs, but I doubt whether that was straight either, and it's now a scrum. 15-20 yards in from touch. Still in the Waratahs half, and get to put the ball in for Boolaroo. Run by Boolaroo. Ling winning the ball pretty well. McNamara to Fraser. This is the other Fraser, G. Fraser. It's a good move, an intercept, but it's a penalty to the Waratahs. Two Frasers playing for Boolaroo, G. Fraser number 12 and B. Fraser number 10.
And there are two Hipples playing for Waratah, Noel. Edwin in the centres and John at halfback.
Mowbray. Another good kick. Right inside Boolaroo's territory now by about 10 yards. And it will be Hamilton to throw in for Boolaroo.
Referee Clive Hughes has a feeling of some dissatisfaction in the line out there. He's making sure he keeps them well apart. That stops the little exchange of rib digging that takes place in lineouts.
Lopes again takes that down, but the referee's whistle has gone. The throw in to Dunicliffe. Lopes tried to get the way, but Dornay, Hipwell, Bear, drops it down. He's lost the ball, towed through here. No, well dived there by E. Hipwell. Ruck on the halfway mark, but the whistle is already gone.
It takes a lot of courage to go down the ball in circumstances like that, and that's one thing that Edwin Hipple's not short of. He's a very courageous player, the most devastating tackler.
And go to throw the ball in for Boolaroo. This time Horton wins the ball. Hipwell to Perrin on the blind side. Perrin puts the ball up. Burge will be under pressure from Dunicliffe, but Burge handles it well. Dunicliffe managed to get him, and now Boolaroo in all sorts of trouble. Penalty to Boolaroo. No, it's a scrum. The referee indicated a penalty.
I think he thought that the best thing to do is to break that play up quickly before tempers got too far out of hand, and that's one way of stopping someone losing their head when they blow the whistle a bit harder than the usual.
Hipwell will get this ball to Bear. Bear's caught in possession. Couldn't do much about it. Throws a loose pass, and Boolaroo will take it down into the ruck, but once again the whistle is gone. Scrum almost on Boolaroo's 25 with the Waratahs leading 8-0. And Facing up there to Hipwell. Hipwell put that ball in that time, but I think he got a smack on the hand for his trouble.
I understand that next Saturday John Hipwell will be unavailable. He's getting married.
There's Hipwell now. Round the blind side, kick for the corner. Dunnicliffe going through, but the ball finds touch.
Beautifully placed kick.
No doubt why he's one of Australia's best halfbacks, John.
I think, Noel, that's one of the talents of John Hipwell. That little kick through that gains all that ground.
It'll be an interesting line out because Waratahs can take it down, which they can't do. Dunnicliffe came round quickly then as Boolaroo took
He saved the
possession.
day. They're going to have a 5-yard scrum and it'll be Boolaroo's ball, Waratahs' ball, which is this is where Hipwell excels. A quick heel, ball out to him, and he'll be over that going a shot of a gun.
Hipwell puts the ball in. He's got the ball there. Hipwell, Perrin, Mowbray. He's got a player in the clear, but he couldn't get it to him quick enough. Now it's Powell. Powell bursts for the line. He'll be very close to being over, but the whistle had gone. It looks like a scrum, almost on the Boolaroo 25. A quicker pass from Mowbray that time, although the whistle had gone, may have been very dangerous.
I think it was a knock-on by Mowbray that brought it about. He lost the ball and knocked it on, but if he got away a little sooner, that might have been another 3 points to Waratahs.
Penalty to the Waratahs, and this one right in front, and on the 25. Mowbray coming up, and this should be 3 more points. Mowbray makes his mark. Taking his time about this kick. Places the ball upright. Mowbray. Very deliberate. Perhaps a little on the slow side to some people, but points are points, no matter where you're playing.
The referee may raise his arm in a minute to indicate that time off.
Here's Mowbray now, right in front. 3 more points. 11-0 in favour of the Waratahs.
The goal to Paul Mowbray. Waratahs 11.
Fraser kicks off and taken through by Little, who was immediately put to the ground.
Boolaroo a little unlucky there, lobbing that ball just a yard short. The laws provide the ball must travel at least 10 yards unless first played by an opponent. Now it happens to be the Boolaroo lads are getting to the ball, but they're a yard too soon, and the ball is not travelling the 9 yards. They're not travelling the 10 yards. It's most unfortunate because they've obviously practiced this move consistently.
It's another good run by Hipwell. Kicks through towards Burge. Burge has knocked the ball sideways that time. He gets his kick in. Puttigan takes it, and Puttigan's got Powell outside him as Puttigan crashes for the corner. Didn't look for support, but a good run by the forward. He's down over the touchline. Very good run for the front row forward.
If I know Puttigan, he'd have his mind so intent on running that it would take all his energies. Looking around wouldn't be part of his tactics. You could see that line, that's where he was going.
Carroll on the far side now, throwing in for Boolaroo. 11-0 in favour of the Waratahs. And gets Fraser inside his own 25. That's a long kick, and he finds touch, relieves the pressure about 10 yards short, halfway in the Boolaroo territory. This time Powell to throw in for the Waratahs.
Boolaroo lads are a little bit rattled at the moment. Those quick points have thrown them off their game, and I think if they take a little time to settle down, they'll be much better for it.
Jornay did well to get that ball down, and Hipwell will get it away to Bear. Hipwell again. Perrin. Dunnicliffe missed out. A chance if Hamilton can pick it up, but he's going sideways. He straightens up now, but a very good covering tackle by Dunnicliffe. Ball over the touchline and a throw into Dunnicliffe. It was a good run by Hamilton, though. He's brought play into the Waratahs half. Halfway down, it's knocked through to Hipwell. Hipwell dummies with his kick, then puts the kick through down the sideline, almost in a straight line. And once again, Burge, under pressure, has put it into touch.
Well, that operation on his leg apparently hasn't affected anything. Rather, it seems to improve his aim. He put that right down along the line.
Hamilton will throw in for Boolaroo now, defending on their own 25. Engett, Fraser, naturally enough, will have to kick, but this time, under pressure, he doesn't gain any ground whatsoever. Dunnicliffe came round very fast that time, and he will be the player to throw the ball in for the Waratahs. No doubt trying to get it back, the Waratahs, to Hipwell. They do just this. Hipwell, he sees an opening, nearly gets through, bears tackle without the ball, and Engett comes away with it. The ruck forms, back inside. It's coming out Waratahs' way, and Hipwell can't handle it. It's towed through by the Waratahs. Hipwell makes a tackle. Once again, Lapes this time comes away for Boolaroo. Katina couldn't handle it, and then it was Savage off the ground that time.
The tendency by Boolaroo to go to the man, irrespective if he got the ball, can be their downfall. They'll either draw a penalty or they'll leave the gate open for an unmarked play to go right through.
Hipwell to Bear. Beautiful pass to Perrin, and Perrin is held. Dornay comes into the movement, slings the ball back. Dunnicliffe picks it up and runs into touch.
That little exchange between Dunnicliffe and Paul McNamara didn't go unnoticed. The referee Hughes gave McNamara a little warning.
And just taken high that time by Harrison. He rucked midway between the half and the 25 in Boolaroo's territory. No conclusion in the ruck, and so it'll be a scrum with the Waratahs leading 11-0 in the first half of the Rugby Union Grand Final at number 2 Sports Ground. Didn't get to put the ball in for Boolaroo.
Referee Hughes insists on square scrums and gets the ball in much needed because of it.
Hipwell, Perrin, Powell not on the move, but he nearly broke the tackle. He gets it back. Hipwell backing up, and it's knocked on there by Hipwell. Advantage will be played, and Dornay puts it out over the touchline. Carroll putting the ball in for Boolaroo, almost on the halfway mark. A long run. Fraser coming through. Play on. Fraser still going across field. Hamilton's knocked it on. Picked up there by Perrin. Ruck just inside Boolaroo's half. Through by Boolaroo, down and through go Boolaroo, and now they're inside the Waratahs half.
That's the sort of tactic that's going to gain Boolaroo a lot of ground, that hard driving, concerted effort of the forwards. It's interesting to note that Waratahs seem to be intent on running the Boolaroo forwards off their feet. The ball is not allowed to go into a ruck. They pick it up, they drive it on, and it would appear to be that Waratah intend to use their backs to the maximum and keep the forwards, Boolaroo, running.
And he puts it in, but Hipwell gets this away to Bear. Bear, a little kick through, follows on. He's nearly towed it through, missed out. Boolaroo in possession, but it's taken down by Dornay. Kick through, followed on by Bear. Burge under pressure. Referee's whistle had gone prior to that movement, and now the scrum on Boolaroo's 25. 11-0 in favour of the Waratahs.
It appears to be that Bear has decided to play the team by himself. He's everywhere today.
Engett puts it in. Run by Hipwell. Referee not satisfied.
It's like trying to stop a truck trying to grab John Hipwell. Engett had him by the jumper, and yet he pulled straight away from him.
Engett again puts the ball in. Won by Boolaroo this time. Fraser inside his own 25. Kicks down. Mowbray coming across. Takes it well. On the first bounce, Hamilton comes to him. A good kick. A long kick by Mowbray. And it's out on the full. Throw in. 12 yards inside of the Waratahs half. Retaken by Hamilton for Boolaroo.
They're playing a short line out this time by Boolaroo.
Knocked back to Hamilton. Hamilton decides to stay with it. Engett. Savage this time. A little kick through by Savage. He follows on. Mowbray in his 25. Claims the mark and will get it. Inside his own 25. Good tactics by Mowbray. He has a chance to kick out on the full as well, John.
Yes, from within his own 25, he's able to kick out on the full, and he takes the line out of that.
Player down injured on the far side of the field, so the score, the Waratahs 11, leading Boolaroo 0. Puttigan coming back now. He was the player down injured. He arrives back behind his kicker Mowbray. Mowbray puts it up and the long one down. Another good looking kick right over the halfway mark. A beautiful kick by Mowbray. Grand final kicking that. A quick throw in, but no, Burns has decided to hold on.
He had it right, but he messed it up. He went into the 5-yard mark instead of throwing in from where the ball crossed the line. He had the right idea, just got caught up in his own excitement.
Hamilton will throw the ball in now for Boolaroo. A long one. Fraser comes through, gets past Bear, but Bear eventually taps him. Duane picks it up for Waratahs, but that strong rap of Boolaroo takes him another 5 yards, and it appears to be a penalty this time to Boolaroo.
I would say that was from laying on the ball while the ball was on the ground. Duane covered well, but in covering well, he held the ball too long.
Kick this time by Fraser, and I think Fraser will have an attempted goal. Again, we have two very high-scoring players in this game. It's been pointed out for Mowbray, the fullback for the Waratahs, and Brian Fraser, the 5'8" for the Boolaroo side, has scored an amazing amount of points because he had time out with injury, didn't he, John, during the season?
Yes, but Brian probably hasn't had as much football under his belt as Paul Mowbray. They're both good, solid kickers and great blokes to have in your team.
I tell you what, they're both great blokes to have on TV too. They've both been on Sport Report this season. Here comes Fraser. It's a long kick. He hasn't found the distance this time. It was very high, but not the distance. Mowbray inside his own 25. Another long raking kick, and over on the far side, Carroll made just a little bit of a mess of that one as well. And the throw in to the Waratahs.
It looks like the disease has caught them. Everyone's trying a quick throw in this afternoon.
The speed's fairly much the essence of this game, the way it's being played at the present time. On the far side, it'll be Powell throwing in. The line out opens up a little bit. Right down the centre, knocked back to Hipwell. Bear, not a good pass from Hipwell, but Bear did very well. Puts it up high. Should bring what rain there is. Savage couldn't handle it, but it goes to ground now. The ruck forms, and it comes out to Hipwell, but the referee's whistle had already gone. The scrum, 10 yards inside the Waratahs half, with the Waratahs leading 11-0. Engett putting the ball in for Boolaroo. Nice short one to Fraser on the blind side. He's got no support. Hamilton's overrun him. Now Hamilton licks up. But what's the player instead of the ball? Hipwell down the side. Kicks in field. It goes over Burgess' head. Burgess now takes it as he's harassed by Dunnicliffe. Got his kick in well. Duane's knocked it back. It was actually knocked back by charge to Duane. Another penalty to Boolaroo.
You remarked that Fraser and Mowbray are great men on television. This is because they are quite articulate, is it, Noel? Because most rugby players become quite articulate. I think they practice talking to the referee most of the time.
He doesn't. It does go over the touchline. Mowbray tried to knock it in. Would have been a knock on in any case, but play is now in 12 yards inside of the Waratahs half. Hamilton to throw the ball in for Boolaroo. Lopes runs round and it's taken by Lopes. Good move, Fraser, McNamara, Fraser. Looks for McNamara again. It's a fierce ruck. Yengard comes round the blind side. He's got the break. He gets to Mowbray. He dodges round, but Mowbray with a beautiful last-ditch tackle there, and the ball goes in over the touchline. Good tackle by Mowbray. Young Engard playing a good game for Boolaroo, came round very quickly. Still 11-0 and played in favour of the Waratahs. Play about 10 yards from the Waratahs line. Carroll throws it in. Wasn't too straight, that one. It'll be a scrum. 10 yards from the Waratahs line. Hipwell puts it in, run by Hipwell, down to Mowbray. Mowbray juggles behind his own try line, but gets the kick in very nicely. Burge comes up, kicks up high, follows through. Marked by Hipwell, and he gets it.
Yes, he went through the motions quite well. He let referee Hughes know exactly what he had in his mind. He lifted his foot, put it down firmly, although that's not required by law these days. It doesn't do any harm to tell the referee what you've got in your own mind.
Hipwell gets it down to his own 25, just short of his own 25. Throw in this time by Carroll for Boolaroo. Boolaroo still pressing, trying to get some points on the board in the first half. They're behind 11-0. Carroll to throw in. Long run. Lopes knocked it the wrong way that time. And Hipwell round the blind side. Ball up and out, but it's a line out from where Hipwell kicked the ball that time. It must have crossed the line almost immediately.
Yes, touch Judge Stobart made no hesitation putting the flag up where he kicked the ball from.
Back to Hipwell again. Hipwell makes no mistake this time and gets play down the field by about 10 yards. Another line out, and Carroll from Boolaroo will still have the honour of throwing the ball in. New light rain falling, knocked back over Ingott's head. Horton coming through very fast, couldn't latch onto the ball, and now on the far side, Powell will throw in for the Waratahs, play on the halfway mark. Horton's decided to take it. Back to Hipwell. There. Hipwell. Perrin. A good run by Powell, who came in off the wing. Wasn't a good pass to Dunnicliffe.
Powell had come across from his own wing when Horton took the throw in. Powell had come across from the far wing to make an extra man in the back line. Now, this seems to be a move that Waratah tried in previous occasions and with great success too.
Ingot putting the ball in. He wins it. Fraser, McNamara. McNamara's dropped it. The ball's loose on the ground. Stein Burge recovers, but he's knocked back. Whistle's gone.
Sling is having a great day out there today, Noel. He's doing very well in the scrums, and he's got a couple of tight heads up on Horton, which it's not a bad effort against a state hooker.
And get to put the ball in again. One by Ingot. They play the other way this time. It's McNamara. Hamilton tries to squeeze through, but can't do it. It's taken on the toe. Looks like could be Ainsford that time, but it's out over the touchline. 10 yards inside the Waratahs half. Throw in by Hamilton. Bapes knocks it back, but it goes to Hipwell. There comes back inside. It kicks along the ground. Back to Burge. Burge, not a good kick this time. It goes up and down. Underneath it was Robson. Robson gets the ball to Dunnicliffe, and Dunnicliffe's put his foot into touch.
There seems to be a slackening off in the game. Of course, they couldn't have hoped to play it at the full pace at which they opened it, but Waratah forwards seem to have been taking a breather in these last few minutes. Perhaps they're gathering the strength for the dying stages of this game.
Well, the first half is nearly concluding, I'd imagine, John, and they've got a handy lead. They can't give up, certainly, as Fraser comes through. He's a danger player. He gets it back to the wrong player that time because Harrison picked it up for the Waratahs. Engert comes away from that ruck, runs through. Another good run by Engert, is certainly playing a great game for Boolaroo and probably their best player at this stage. The ruck just outside the Waratahs 25. No conclusion, so it will be a scrum.
It's the cover defence of Dorney. He's down on the first of the ball, last man up.
It'll be thrown in by Hipwell this time, just outside his own 25. Hipwell asks the ref a question there. Certainly the scrum's a lot better than the rugby league scrums in appearance anyhow. Hipwell. No, it's out on the full. John, a while ago you mentioned the tight head. Could you explain that? And why do they only usually count the tight heads?
Well, the tight head, the team with the ball, the team throwing the ball into the scrum have the right to choose which side they put the ball in. Naturally, they put it on the side that has the least amount of heads available. So if you win the ball, as it were, if your opponent's throwing in, you're doing it the hard way because your head is a little bit further away than your opposing hooker. They go in alternate heads, of course. In this case, Boolaroo have the loose head, insofar as the Boolaroo man's head is nearest his halfback, and therefore the hooker is closer. And to win the ball under those circumstances is called winning it against the tight head.
That was a good run. It ended in nothing, unfortunately, because of a technical knock-on that time by Burge.
It so happened that Ling won the ball in that ensuing scrum. Now, in this circumstances, Waratah have the loose head and Ling has the tight head.
Penalty to Boolaroo, this time right in front, and I'm sure there'll be 3 points here for the Boolaroo team, right in the centre, and 25, 30 yards out from the goal.
And finally, to finish off the matter of the tight head, you have the great advantage, of course, your own halfback is putting the ball in, because in Union, the team not responsible for the infringement puts the ball in.
Now Fraser has this one placed. There's the half-time bell. An important kick this. Boolaroo need points. And unfortunately, having an off day there would be Brian Fraser, who missed that at half-time. The Waratahs leading 11, Boolaroo 0. John, some comments?
Well, I think that the Waratah players have been instructed by Cyril Burke to run that ball, to run it as often as fast as they can, with the idea of tiring out the Boolaroo pack. At the moment, they've seemed to have achieved their task. Whether or not the Waratah lads will be able to maintain this pressure in the second half remains to be seen. I would think that the Boolaroo forwards will settle down and probably will see a tighter, harder driving football in the second half. Not quite as much as running in the back line as we've seen in the first half. The player, of course, that's stood out so far, in my mind, has been Bear for Waratah. He seems to have been everywhere, covering everything. Mowbray with his kicks has been a great help. And in fact, the way the first try was scored showed a real cohesion amongst the back line of the Waratahs. Engert for Boolaroo has certainly been doing his share, and Lopes, as well as the forwards of Boolaroo, I'd say Ansford and Watini, are doing a tremendous amount of work in those rucks. You don't often see the forwards doing the work, but it's going in, and it's going in hard and furious.
Well, that's the end of the first half, 11-0 in favour of the Waratahs. Shortly we'll be back with the second half of the grand final for the rugby union season.